Hey, before we dive into this week's episode, do you mind taking 5 seconds of your time to rate and review us on your favorite podcast platform? It will really help other people find this podcast, and I would also love your feedback. Thank you for taking the time. And now let's dive into the episode. Hello and welcome to the Marketing Women Podcast. I'm your host, Samusha Khannan, and it's great to have you here. Are you looking to move into marketing or want to learn marketing from scratch? We discuss all things marketing, analytics, business, personal branding, and much more in a way any layman can understand. If you're new here, make sure to follow along and get on that email list by visiting anushakhannan.com/email list. Follow at AnushaRK on TikTok, tag us on your stories, would love to see that. And now let's dive in. Today's episode, we're going to focus on marketing on a budget and what are the strategies that we can use for maximizing impact with minimal spend. So whether you're a small business owner, a startup founder, or even a marketer at a larger company looking to stretch your dollars, we'll talk about how to do just that, how to make the most out of your marketing. And now let's get started by jumping into segment 1. Marketing on a budget. It doesn't mean that you're compromising on quality or effectiveness. In fact, some of the most innovative and successful campaigns come from constraints. So let's first understand why budget-friendly marketing is so important. So there are 3 things. The first thing is resource optimization. Efficient use of resources can lead to greater ROI. So what this means is, let's say that you have a bunch of different tools for a bunch of different purposes. Is there a way that you can find a tool that can do 1 or 2 of these things under one tool so you can minimize using so many tools at all times? So it's about focusing on what tools you really need and how to maximize that and efficiently use that instead of having multiple tools. And I'm just saying tools, for example. This could mean a lot of other things too. Can you not run ads for every single product that you have? Can you run ads for products that you just know will do really well? Just understanding that you need to make use of your resources in the right way can actually give you better ROI and also save your money. The second thing is scalability. Budget-friendly strategies are often scalable, allowing you to grow as your budget increases. Think about this way, right? Let's say that you actually work for someone and you're a marketer. You go and tell them that, hey, I need X amount of dollars for this campaign. And they tell you, stop being ridiculous. I'm not giving you that kind of money. So what you can do to frame that conversation a different way is to prove to them with some amount of evidence, right? Hey, I spend the minimal amount and this is how the campaign has worked so far. Now I need some money. And then they might consider giving you that kind of budget, right? When you don't have hard facts to back it up, nobody is going to respect you. And I think respect you or your ideas. So when you think about it, budget-friendly campaigns, budget-friendly strategies are actually quite good. And sometimes they end up working in your favor. The third thing is creativity boost. I like to think of this as a student, right? When we're students, we try to find a way to make things work, even though we literally have no money. So limited budgets often spur creativity and out-of-the-box thinking. As someone that doesn't have a lot of budget for the Marketing Women podcast, actually, really like a very minimal budget, I find ways to make things work for me. Instead of trying to think about where can I get the resources, where can I get that kind of money, it really boosts my creativity. And I think this point actually came from my own experience about thinking about how to grow the podcast, but at the same time not having resources or the funding to do so. So think about it. The more you think about things, the more creative you become. Marketing is all about trying to stand out, right? It's trying to stand out and telling customers why they should choose you and how can you help them better. So when you think about it, creativity is the way to actually connect with your customers. Cool. Now let's break down some strategies and frameworks to get you the best ROI possible. Let's move on to segment 2 with that. So to structure a discussion, we'll use a sort of comprehensive approach to make sure that you can achieve great results without breaking the bank. Before spending a single dollar, it's essential to understand where you are and where you want to go. So number 1 thing to do is assess current performance. Look at your current marketing if you have one. Look at the metrics, what's working and what's not working. The second thing is to set clear goals. Define what success looks like for your campaign. It could be increased web traffic, higher conversion rates, or better engagement on social media. Think about that. Set clear goals. And the third one is budget allocation. Decide how much you can realistically spend and allocate your budget across different channels. And I'm going to talk about this in two ways, right? Think about it. Let's say that your campaign does really bad. Would you feel like you lost a lot of money? If so, think about your budget again. Let's think about it this way. What if your campaign does really well and you want to keep the campaign going? Do you think it's a realistic spend? Can you afford that again? Think about it both ways. For example, let's say you're a small business selling handmade candles and your goal might be to increase your monthly sales by 20%. Based on your assessment, you might decide to allocate 50% of your budget to social media ads, 30% of your budget to content marketing, and 20% of your budget to email marketing. Think about it this way. The second one is to think about how can we not spend a lot of money? How can we utilize free tools and resources? There's a wealth of free tools, right? There are so many free tools out there and resources that are available to help you market effectively without actually breaking the bank. The first one I would say is Google My Business. Perfect if you have a small local business, any business, local business, to get discovered on Google search and maps. The second one is social media, obviously. Use posts, stories, groups to engage with your audience. And the third one is Canva. You don't have to be a graphic designer, okay? Canva is the best tool out there if you want to make quick posts, quick content for your social media. Canva is great for creating professional looking graphics without the need for a designer. So for example, let's take our candle business again. You could create a Google My Business profile to attract local customers. Use Canva to design eye-catching social media posts. I say that because I think it's so easy to say that, right? But as someone, when you're someone that has got no experience creating posts, it can be really daunting to know what's going to work and what's not going to work. Absolutely agree that there's going to be a learning curve there, and people will get the hang of it once you start trying. You can become the person that can create posts for your business. I'm not saying you shouldn't hire social media managers. You should definitely, if you can afford one. But it's definitely a process. And it's not, social media is not just, oh, you just have to post stuff. No, there's so much that goes behind the scenes, and you will know when you start learning how to do it. The third thing is you could, within the example, what you could do is join relevant Facebook groups. Facebook groups are still a part of marketing, and I don't think a lot of people realize that. I personally don't like Facebook, but I think groups are still active and you can promote your products there. Oh my God, did I just say Facebook instead of Meta? I am a dinosaur. So before we go into the next point, I do want to recap what we were just talking about. So in segment 2, we're talking about the first thing, which was to make sure that we have a plan where we're talking about assessing current performance, setting clear goals, budget allocation. And the next thing is utilizing free tools and resources, where we talked about building Google My Business, social media platform, and using Canva. Now let's jump into the next one, which is developing engaging content. People say content is king, and I completely agree with that, but it doesn't have to be expensive to create. Touching upon what we were talking about before, using Canva, right? There are other formats they can explore. Blogging, writing informative blog posts that provide value to your audience. I like how-to posts because that is like, I don't know about you, but when I read a blog, I read the subheadings and I try to read the last few lines of the subheadings, like paragraph, because that gives me what I need. To try to format your content in a way you would read it if you were your customer. The second one is UGC. We talked about this on the podcast before. User-generated content is so helpful. Encourage your customers to share photos and reviews of your products because that can tell people how it would feel to have that product. And I think Stanley did such a great job at that, right? The Stanley Cup. The entire company, I personally think, did so well because of user-generated content. The third thing is obviously videos. We live in a world where TikTok, Reels, and everything, even X platform, is trying to bring videos. So use your smartphone, create authentic behind-the-scene videos or product demos, or walk people through how you create your product. If you can do that, that'll be great. So, for example, you could start a blog on your website discussing topics like candle care tips or DIY home decor ideas. Encourage your customers to post pictures of your candles in their homes, or if they use your DIY techniques. Just for example, if that would be great. I think feature these on your social media channels and that will give you a boost. And the next one is grow your network organically. Building relationships and networking can be one of the most cost-effective ways to grow your business. So there are 3 ways you can do this. The first one is partnerships. Collaborate with other businesses to cross-promote each other. So I've seen B2B marketers do such an amazing job at this. If you're not on LinkedIn, I suggest you get on LinkedIn, give me a follow. And if you watch B2B marketers, they do such an amazing, terrific job. The second thing is influencers. Partner with micro-influencers who align with your brand and have a loyal following. I think most companies make this mistake of collaborating with top influencers who charge you a lot. And yeah, they do have following, but that doesn't mean they align with your brand's values and the tone of your brand. It's super important to have influencers who resonate with your brand, who know your brand, who understand your brand, and can do justice to your brand. The third thing is community engagement. Participate in events and online forums. Go where your customers are. Don't try to bring people to you. It's okay to try to do that, but most of the times when you go to your customers, they'll come to you. So for example, partner with a local boutique to create a co-branded gift set. Engage with micro-influencers who focus on home decor and lifestyle to review and promote your candle. The example that we're quoting throughout this podcast episode is candles. Cool. So we're almost at the end. So let's just do a quick recap so we don't forget what we were just talking about. So we're on segment 2. And the first thing we talked about was planning, where we're assessing current performance, setting clear goals, allocating budget. And then we moved on to talk about how we can utilize free tools like Google My Business, social media platforms, and Canva. And then we talked about creating engaging content by blogging, creating user-generated content, and using videos. And then what we do is grow our network organically by partnerships, influencers, and community engagement. And now we're jumping into, we've done all of these things. Now, how do we know what's working and what's not working? We did that in the beginning. Remember, we did this evaluation in the beginning. Now we have a setup, right? We know how to do this. And constantly measuring your efforts and being ready to pivot if something isn't working is super important. It's an important mindset to have. So 3 things to remember. Analytical tools. Use tools like Google Analytics, it's free, and social media insights to track your performance. The second thing is have a feedback loop going. Collect feedback from your customers and make improvements based on their suggestions. I always say this. You cannot tell people what they want. You're not Steve Jobs. We're all not Steve Jobs. Most of the times, customers tell you what they want. If you listen to it, it's much more easier to make improvements. And I'm not saying that it's always applicable. Just remember to take whatever resonates. The third thing is A/B testing. Experiment with different approaches to see what resonates best with your audience. It's not always it worked the last time, so it's going to work this time. It's just not that case. Sometimes the same things just don't work out the same way, right? So you have to A/B test, experiment, and see what works. So for example, if your social media ads aren't driving sales, try tweaking the ad copy or images. Use feedback from your customers to refine your product or product description or improve your website's user experience. It could be something really small and really insignificant to you, but that could be affecting a lot of different things. So make sure you take feedback. Now, the last one is targeted advertising. I get that organic growth is essential. You don't have to spend money on that, but a small budget for targeted advertising can amplify your reach. 3 ways to think about it. The first one is social media ads. Use the advanced targeting options on platforms like Meta, I'm not going to say Facebook, and Instagram to reach your ideal customers. The second one is Google Ads. Utilize Google Ads for search engine marketing, especially if you have a local business, because that works really well. There is Google Ads certification that you can get that Google's giving away. So not giving away, they have a certification that you can take that will help you understand the basics of it. I'll have the link in the description if you want to check it out. The third thing is retargeting. So retargeting is nothing but, let's say that someone showed interest in your product. You want to show the product again to them just to remind them like, hey, remember when you were interested in this? Do you want to think about it again? Use retargeting ads to reach people who have already shown interest in your products. So for example, for the candle business, run Instagram ads targeting users interested in home decor and wellness. You don't have to even target me, I'll just get a candle. But use retargeting ads to re-engage visitors who added items to their cart but didn't complete the process, didn't complete the purchase. Amazon is so good at this. You guys know that, right? They'll always come and tell you like, hey, you left this in the cart. Do you want to come and take a look at it? We'll give you this discount. And I always end up falling for it, even though I know exactly what they're doing. What can I say? What can I say? Candles are the best, okay? What can I say? So a quick recap, and then we'll conclude this. So we first talked about how you can plan, assess current performance, set clear goals, budget allocation. And then we talked about utilizing free tools like Google My Business, social media, and Canva. And then we talked about developing engaging content by using blogging or user-generated content, videos. And then we talked about growing your network organically by having partnerships, influencers, and community engagement. And then we talked about how to evaluate and iterate by using analytical tools, collecting feedback, and doing A/B testing. And then we last talked about targeted advertising, where we use social media ads, Google ads, and retargeting. Just doing the same thing again, but making sure that we've optimized and understood what has worked and what has not worked. So marketing on a budget is all about being resourceful, being creative and strategic by following the steps that I just structured and just kept on repeating again and again, and leveraging free tools, engaging content, keeping in mind about organic growth, continuous evaluation, and targeting advertising. You can achieve impressive results without a massive budget. That's all for today. Hope you found it useful. Please feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn or email me at tmw@anushakannan.com. Follow me on LinkedIn to never miss my journey, and I'll see you in the next episode. Peace.